Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Good morning, everybody. Cowboy here. We just had some data come out, so we're going to jump right into the charts right now. We're looking at EURUSD, and as the title of today's show suggests, there may be a breakout happening to the upside, and it's due to data coming out. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the data says. Now, firstly, the data that I was mainly concerned with, at least, was the ECB. That's the European Central Bank's main financing rate. They held the rates the same. They didn't change anything. So the reaction in the market really wasn't much for that. Excuse me. So what we ended up seeing there as a result was nothing. You just had wicks going around, a lot of uncertainty coming, leaving, money coming back into the market. But what pushed price up, and this is the 5-minute chart. We're zoomed in pretty deeply here. But what caused this move was apparently USD news, like dollar news, not European news, and it's the unemployment claims. Now, we had some pretty big employment-related news yesterday. The ADP non-farm employment change was really pretty low, meaning that instead of adding the expected 111,000 jobs, the U.S. only added 37,000, which is something like 30% of what was expected. And that really did push price around and caused a lot of volatility yesterday. And as traders, we love volatility. Now, today, the unemployment claims were a bit higher than usual, not terribly higher, but significantly enough to push things around. So 247,000 unemployment claims versus 236. And you couple that with yesterday's employment news, and you're probably going to get a decent reaction. Now, there's more coming for the ECB. The press conference happens in about, 17 minutes, 18 minutes, right? And so they're going to talk. I imagine it'll be Christine Lagarde. We'll talk about forward guidance, what they expect to do, what they expect not to do. But the Europeans have cut, I think, something like 9 times, since the last year or two. They've been doing a lot of cutting, where the USD rate has not been cut at all. Like, they've been holding steady. And so that's a very unique thing. And what's interesting about that is the European, I'm just having a hard time today, folks. Apologize. The euro has really been going up and going up hard for a long time. Cutting rates usually is going to have the opposite effect, but the euro has gotten strong, and it has to do with the flight to perceived safety during the panic that happened. And then what's happened in the background, there's been a lot of playing around with the bond market. So the movement in the euro is not necessarily signifying weakness in the euro, or I should say weakness in the dollar, strength in the euro because of belief in their currency. It's been bond market games, right? Well, again, this new data coming out here, the unemployment data coupled with yesterday's employment data, is pushing really the dollar down, but effectively the euro up. And you can see I have this area here. Once price goes above that, that is a breakout. And if I zoom back out to the 3-hour chart, which is the chart you saw in the thumbnail, you'll see that, as a matter of fact, I did expect a breakout. If you looked at the title, and it looks like this may very well happen today. And as Christine Lagarde speaks, we're going to see what she has to say. And I would not be surprised to see this head and break up. So the plan for me to trade this would be one of 2 plans. Now, there's always the I'm not going to trade it plan, and that we'll address that. But if price breaks out, like I think it will, it might take a day, it might probably only take a few hours if it's going to happen at all. And I could either enter right as it breaks out, right there, and then just take a trade up, or I could let it break out, have a pullback on a lower time frame, and then go ahead and take the long as it comes back to grab liquidity in this area. And of course, the first way of doing it, by the breakout, is a little bit more risky, but waiting for a pullback to this value area where we see price having consolidated and having pivoted before. Wow, I really can't talk today. That is the less risky move. Now, I would definitely be out prior to this high right here that happened back in April, 21st of April, which is at 119,750. So the trade might look something like, and I'm not in this yet. Now, if I were to buy the breakout, let me zoom in a bit here so y'all can see what's going on. If I were to buy it right as it broke out, then the trade would look something like this, right? And I would get out before that 1 what is that? Let's see, 115.75. And my stop loss would be somewhere down here. I would tell Algo Factory exactly what the trade is as I'm taking it. And then if I were to, buy it after the pullback, it would look something like this. And I might not get quite as good of an entry, but I still would have a decent trade. The initial first one is roughly a 3-to-1, and this is a little bit less than that. And I say 3-to-1, what does that mean? What that means is that if I trade this, and this is forex trading, folks, and I know a lot of people that like to watch or into crypto and stuff like that, and this works the same in crypto trading as well. It works the same in any kind of trading. If I were to enter right here and price goes down out of here past this stop loss where I say, okay, I'm out of this trade, I've lost as much as I want to lose, let's just pretend I'm putting $1,000 on that, right? Well, I've lost 1,000. Now, if price heads up to take profit right here, and we're sitting at a risk to reward ratio of 2.75, that means I make $2,750. Instead of losing 1,000, I make 2,750, and this is how I stay profitable. One of the ways I stay profitable is that if I lose a smaller amount than if I win. It's risk to reward ratio. Now let's look at the other scenario, which I think is less likely, as a rejection. Right. So if price does reject, and it very well could, and it's kind of started to actually on a lower time frame. Well, let's just say price kind of, really tries to break this, and over the next day or so, it rejects downwards, right? Well, I would look for a short there, but I would be really, really careful with that. And I do have algorithms that would give me some clues as to whether or not it's even a good idea to take that short. But let's just say my algos did say it's okay to take that short. Then it would look something like this, where I would short it down and probably be out at a local structure. And the reason that would be kind of a quick, smaller trade is just because most of the euro is very bullish. Now, this is on a swing trade time frame, and anymore, I'm more of a day trader. But if I do see a good swing trade, I don't mind taking it. So for the moment, though, we're going to hold off, or at least I'm going to hold off from any trades, because we have Christine Lagarde. She's going to speak in now about 8 minutes. And, she's probably going to speak for 15 to 30 minutes that matter. And I'll just wait for all that before I start messing around. But there would probably be some volatility coming for the euro today, some nice trading on that. Let's go ahead and move over to, let me see, we got a few minutes left. I'm going to take a look at NASDAQ very briefly. And it's relatively unaffected. If I go to a lower time frame, you'll see that the dollar data might be pushing it around. But this data that came out for unemployment really isn't seeming to affect the equities markets very much. So I'll just go ahead and take a look at the algos in general. I can tell you the high time frame, decently high time frame, the daily, the NASDAQ is a bit bullish, but it is bullish against resistance. So let me go ahead and add a little data. I want to see what's going on way high up. Like I'm telling you now, the NASDAQ is bullish. Okay, it wants to go up, but it is up against resistance on the daily. So let's go ahead and map this out a little bit. Now, it did break out from this consolidation, and it's been kind of wagging back and forth, right? Going back to earlier this month, it's just been rocking back and forth between 21,035 and 21,564. But there have been a lot of liquidity grabs, a lot of people getting played with, basically, right? Oh, panic. Oh, and I'm sure some of these moves that get reversed are also due to some news and things like that. In the end, this does want to go up. But despite the fact that it has broken out of this very messy range, we do have a local resistance right here at 21,858. So I would be careful going long on this. I would look for this to either, just like we are talking about with the euro, break to the upside, maybe grab along up to that prior high right there, which I believe this is the all-time high right there at 22,432, or perhaps a rejection to the downside. And, I would be looking for trades like that. I wouldn't jump into this ceiling here, right? I wouldn't jump and go long before a breakout. This is not a safe thing to do in trading. Let's take a brief look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin itself has just been, it's been kind of grinding up here. The higher time frame, ultimately the high time frame of Bitcoin is bullish. I mean, it's always like bullish, but there's a fair amount of bearishness in this chart, right? So this chart does have what appears to me to be a need to kind of reset to the downside. And effectively what we're seeing now is a bearish pattern here, right? And this bearish pattern here, I'm going to go ahead and reveal it to Algo Factory, well, I'll reveal the pattern itself, and then I'll reveal the targets and how I'm going to trade it to Algo Factory. So, and anybody in Algo Factory who's been there for a minute is going to know exactly what I'm going to do right now. But we do have a very clear head and shoulders pattern. I'm going to do it on a lower time frame because this crazy candle is going to make that hard to do on this. So we're going to jump down to the 3 hour and make sure it's a legit head and shoulders. Yeah, it is. Okay, so head and shoulders do have a pretty high probability of breaking to the predictable direction. With Bitcoin, I haven't tested it, but in general, it's in the high 80 percentile, which means that sometimes it does not break in the expected direction. But if and when price ever makes it to this bottom shoulder, there is going to be a very predictable move where price is going to head down like this, right? And I don't want to say exactly where it's going to go. I will tell Algo Factory here as I go to the private live lab exactly where I do think that's going to go. But this is pretty predictable, and Bitcoin does have a lot of resistance to the upside. Now, ultimately, as I've said before, I do believe Bitcoin will head up. I believe Bitcoin towards the end of the year, if not sooner, will head up past its 112,000 all-time high. And I have talked about where I think that is going to go. So, if you want more, just keep watching. I do talk about this. I give specific numbers and I give them live. Let's just say anywhere between 120,000 and 160,000. That's where I think the sweet spot is. But you know what? Anything can happen with Bitcoin. There's a lot going on institutionally with Bitcoin, and there is a potential supply shock that could send it way, way higher. But just to look at the normal metrics, I'm looking between 120, 140,000 for that high, if it can even break that 112,000. For the moment, I don't think it will. Bitcoin is a tricky thing to trade. But if and when it comes down to that right shoulder and the neckline below the right shoulder, there is a very high probability that we see a move down. And I don't think it's going to be a huge move down, but I think it's going to be a great time to short, or if you are not that kind of person, a great time to look for a new buying opportunity. So we're going to head over to the private live lab. And if you come over here to Algo Factory on YouTube, Tuesday through Thursday, we do this live lab, this live show here for about 10 minutes, maybe sometimes a tiny bit longer. And we just kind of go over some basic stuff. We answer questions from the audience. Lately, the audience, it's grown a little bit. These kind of things, sometimes they take time to grow. But if you have questions, say, hey, I want to see, this stock or that crypto or this forex pair, whatever you want to see, if you ask questions in the live comment section, I'll be happy to chart that out for you, given that we have the time to do so, right? And if you want more, come on over to algofactory.tech. You can also go ahead and get your free algo. The link is in the description, and we do give you one of those. You just give us your email address. You can give us a real or fake name. We don't care if it's real or fake, and we will go ahead and immediately give you that algo. We'll also put you on a mailing list so we can invite you over to let me see here. I'm going to do a workshop, and this workshop will be free. The first one's going to be free, and you're going to be able to watch me trade for, I think I'm going to do for 2 days, 2 New York Opens. It just depends on what kind of news and stuff is happening that week, what kind of economic data. And I think I'm going to do it on the 3rd or 4th week of June. So it's coming up. And if you give us your email and, whatever name you want, I don't care, we'll send you an invite to that. So thanks for watching. Come on over to algofactory.tech. We'll teach you how to trade like a hedge fund pro. And as you leave, do not forget,
join us or die.
Just kidding. You'll not die. Everything's fine. It's just having a little fun with Alan Rickman. Rest in peace. Great actor. Love that guy. And we will see you tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. EST. Oh, no, you're not going to. That's right. Today's Thursday. We'll see you on Tuesday. And by the way, keep an eye out on Sunday. I do my weekly prediction or forecast or outlook, and I will be putting that up here.